The DNA test was sitting on my best friend's kitchen counter, next to a sippy cup and a half-eaten banana. I wasn't supposed to see it. I had only come over to drop off a birthday gift for her daughter. But there it was, folded open, with my husband's name listed as the biological father of a child I didn't even know existed until 2 years ago. I stood in Brooke's kitchen for exactly 11 seconds before I heard her footsteps coming down the hallway. 11 seconds to photograph the document with shaking hands. 11 seconds to slide it back into place. 11 seconds to rearrange my face into something that looked normal. Something that didn't look like a woman whose entire world had just cracked down the middle. When she walked in, I was smiling. I had been smiling at her for 15 years. I could do it for 5 more minutes. My name is Ren. I'm 34 years old. And the 2 people I trusted most in this world had been lying to me for 3 years, 8 months and 14 days. I know the exact count because I went back through everything afterward. Every text, every calendar entry, every credit card statement. I rebuilt the timeline of my own betrayal like a detective solving a cold case. The case of how my husband and my best friend made a baby behind my back while I cried in fertility clinics and blamed my own body for failing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the version of my life I thought I was living. I met Nathan when I was 22, fresh out of college with a marketing degree and a heart full of optimism. He was 25, already working as a financial analyst at a firm downtown, wearing suits that fit perfectly and smiling like he had never known disappointment. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party in a rooftop bar in Chicago. He spilled his drink on my dress and spent the rest of the night apologizing with such genuine embarrassment that I gave him my number just to make him stop. He called the next day. He called every day for 2 weeks until I agreed to dinner. 6 months later we were saying, "I love you." 2 years later we were engaged. At 24 I married a man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. I was so certain. I was so young. I was so stupid. Brooke was my maid of honor. Of course she was. We had been best friends since freshman year of college, 2 girls from small towns who found each other in a crowded dorm hallway and never let go. She was there when I failed my first exam and cried in the library. She was there when my father had his heart attack and I flew home for 2 weeks. She was there when Nathan proposed, screaming so loud the neighbors complained. She helped me pick my wedding dress, plan my bachelorette party, write my vows. She stood next to me at the altar and cried happy tears. I thought those tears were for me. The first 5 years of marriage were good. Not perfect, but good. Nathan worked long hours and I built my career at a mid-size advertising agency. We bought a condo in Lincoln Park, adopted a rescue dog named Pepper, talked about the future. The future always included children. 2, maybe 3. A house in the suburbs with a backyard. Soccer games on Saturdays. The whole picture. We started trying when I was 27. I thought it would happen quickly. My mother had 4 kids with no trouble. My sister got pregnant on her honeymoon. I assumed my body would cooperate the same way. It didn't. Month after month the tests came back negative. I started tracking my cycle obsessively, taking my temperature every morning, timing everything with scientific precision. Nothing worked. After a year we saw a fertility specialist. Dr. Reeves was kind but clinical. She ran tests on both of us and delivered the results in a beige office with motivational posters on the walls. Nathan's sperm count was normal. My hormone levels were fine. But I had a condition called diminished ovarian reserve, which meant I had fewer eggs than average for my age. Not impossible to conceive, but difficult. Very difficult. I remember sitting in that office hearing the statistics, feeling like my body had betrayed me. Nathan held my hand and said all the right things. "We'll figure it out. We'll try IVF. We'll do whatever it takes." I believed him. I leaned into him and cried and he stroked my hair and I thought, at least I have him. At least I have Brooke. At least I'm not alone in this. I was alone. I just didn't know it yet. We started IVF in 2019. If you've never been through it, I can't fully explain what it does to your body and mind. The hormone injections that make you bloated and emotional. The ultrasounds that measure your follicles like they're products on an assembly line. The egg retrievals that leave you cramped and exhausted. The embryo transfers that feel like holding your breath for 2 weeks straight. The negative results that crush you over and over again. We did 4 rounds of IVF over 3 years. Each round cost between $15,000 and $20,000. Some were covered partially by insurance. Most were not. By 2022, we had spent $67,000 trying to have a baby, and I had nothing to show for it except a drawer full of syringes and a marriage that was starting to crack. Nathan got quieter during those years. He said he was tired from work, stressed about money, worried about me. I accepted those explanations because I was tired too. I was so focused on my own grief that I didn't notice him pulling away. I didn't notice the late nights at the office that started happening more frequently. I didn't notice the phone calls he took in another room. I didn't notice anything because I trusted him completely. Brooke was my lifeline through all of it. She came over with wine and ice cream after every failed cycle. She listened to me cry about my broken body, my jealousy of pregnant women, my fear that Nathan would leave me for someone who could give him children. She held my hand and told me I was strong. I was worthy, I was going to be a mother someday. She was so supportive, so present, so fucking good at pretending. In March 2021, Brooke told me she was pregnant. She was 31, single, and completely shocked. She said it was an accident, a one-night stand with an ex-boyfriend she had reconnected with briefly. She said he didn't want to be involved, that she was going to raise the baby alone. I cried when she told me, but not from jealousy. I cried because I was happy for her. I cried because I thought at least one of us was getting the miracle. I threw her a baby shower. I bought her a $400 stroller. I was in the hospital waiting room when her daughter Lily was born on November 15, 2021. I held that baby in my arms when she was 2 hours old. I looked at her tiny face and felt something I couldn't name. Not jealousy, not exactly. Something sharper. Something that felt like recognition. I pushed the feeling away. I told myself I was being paranoid, projecting my own longing onto an innocent child. Lily had Brooke's nose, Brooke's chin. Whatever else I thought I saw was just my broken heart playing tricks on me. But the feeling never fully went away. As Lily grew, so did my unease. By the time she was 1, she had light brown hair that curled at the ends. Nathan had the same curls. By 18 months, she had a dimple in her left cheek when she smiled. Nathan had that dimple too. I mentioned it to Brooke once casually, trying to sound like I was joking. Lily's dimple is so cute. Nathan has one just like it. Brooke laughed and said dimples were common, that half the babies in the world had them. I laughed too. I let it go. I was so good at letting things go. The cracks in my marriage widened in 2022. Nathan and I fought more often, usually about money or schedules or nothing at all. The IVF had drained us financially and emotionally. We went to couples therapy for 3 months, but Nathan always seemed distracted during sessions, checking his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. In September 2022, I suggested we take a break from trying to conceive. Let's just be us for a while, I said. Let's remember why we got married. Nathan agreed, but something in his eyes looked like relief rather than disappointment. At the time I thought he was just tired. Now I know he was relieved that the pressure was off, that he could stop pretending to want something he was already getting elsewhere. The holidays that year were strange. Nathan was distant at Thanksgiving, distracted at Christmas. He gave me a beautiful necklace but forgot to sign the card. He said he loved me but the words sounded rehearsed. I told myself it was stress, that we would reconnect in the new year. Brooke came to our Christmas party with Lily, who was 13 months old and toddling around in a red velvet dress. I watched Nathan pick her up when she stumbled near the fireplace. I watched the way he held her, natural and easy, like he had done it 1,000 times. Something cold moved through my chest. I poured myself another glass of wine and told myself to stop being crazy. But I wasn't crazy. I was finally starting to see. The DNA test discovery happened on January 14, 2024. I remember the date because it was exactly 1 week after my 34th birthday. A birthday Nathan had forgotten until Brooke reminded him via text. I saw the text on his phone screen when it lit up on the kitchen counter. Don't forget W's birthday tomorrow. I'll bring the cake. I thought it was sweet that Brooke was looking out for me. I didn't think about why she had such easy access to my husband's attention. I went to Brooke's apartment that Tuesday afternoon to drop off a birthday gift for Lily, who was turning 2 in a few weeks. Brooke wasn't home yet. She had given me a spare key years ago for emergencies, and I let myself in to leave the gift on the counter. That's when I saw it. A folded paper next to the fruit bowl, official looking with a laboratory letterhead. I shouldn't have looked. Every boundary I had ever respected told me to walk away. But something pulled me forward, some instinct I had been suppressing for 2 years. I unfolded the paper and my vision went white. The document was a paternity test from a private laboratory dated January 9, 2024. The alleged father was Nathan James Aldrich. The child was Lily Rose Bennett. The probability of paternity was 99.97%. I read it 3 times. Each time the numbers stayed the same. My husband was the father of my best friend's daughter. Not some random ex-boyfriend. Not a one-night stand. My husband. The man who held my hand through 4 rounds of IVF. The man who watched me inject myself with hormones every night. The man who told me we would figure it out together. He had figured it out. He had figured it out with Brooke. I photographed the document. My hands were trembling so badly I took 4 shots to make sure one was clear. I heard the front door open and Brooke's voice calling out. I folded the paper and placed it exactly where I found it. By the time she walked into the kitchen, I was standing by the counter with the gift bag in my hand and a smile on my face. Hey, I was just dropping this off for Lily. Hope she likes it. Brooke hugged me. She smelled like vanilla and betrayal. You're the best. Seriously, Ren. I don't know what I'd do without you. I stayed for 10 more minutes. I made small talk. I bounced Lily on my knee and looked into her amber eyes. Eyes that were the exact shade of her father's. My husband's eyes. When I left, I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could drive. I called in sick to work the next day. And the day after that. I needed time. Time to think. Time to plan. Time to understand the full scope of what had been done to me. I didn't confront them. That was my first decision and it was the hardest one. Every cell in my body wanted to scream, to throw things, to demand explanations. But I had learned something from all those years of IVF. Patience is a weapon. Rushed decisions lead to regret. If I was going to destroy them, I needed to do it right. I started with the evidence. I went through Nathan's home office while he was at work, photographing bank statements and credit card bills. I found payments to a jewelry store I had never received gifts from. I found hotel charges on nights he told me he was working late. I found a second phone hidden in his gym bag. A prepaid burner with text to a contact saved only as B. The text went back 3 years. 3 years of I love you, and I miss you, and can you come over? She's at yoga. They had been meeting at hotels, at Brooke's apartment, once at our own house when I was visiting my mother for the weekend. They had been having sex in my bed while I cried to my mother about why I couldn't get pregnant. The affair started in August 2020, 4 months after our second failed IVF cycle. Nathan had told me he needed space to process his feelings. I gave him space. I gave him so much space that he filled it with my best friend. I kept digging. I pulled our joint account records and found $4,200 in transfers to an account I didn't recognize. When I traced the account, it belonged to Brooke. He had been sending her money every month since Lily was born. Hidden in our miscellaneous expenses category, I found receipts for baby furniture I never saw, toys I never bought, clothes in sizes my non-existent child never wore. He was playing father to another woman's child while convincing me that our childlessness was my fault. The cruelest discovery was the birthday cards. I found them in Brooke's apartment 2 weeks later, during another visit while she was at work. A stack of cards from Nathan to Lily, hidden in Brooke's closet. Happy first birthday to my little girl. Daddy loves you more than anything. I can't wait to be with you full-time someday. Full-time. Someday. They were planning a future. They were waiting for something. It took me another week to understand what they were waiting for. They were waiting for me to give up. They were waiting for me to ask for a divorce so Nathan could walk away looking like the victim, like the man whose wife couldn't give him children, like the man who had no choice but to find happiness elsewhere. I refused to give them that narrative. I consulted a divorce attorney in early February. Her name was Diane Shun, a partner at a family law firm known for handling high-asset divorces. I showed her everything: the DNA test, the text messages, the bank transfers, the birthday cards. She looked at the evidence and then looked at me with something like respect. "You've done excellent work," she said. "Most clients come to me with suspicions. You came with a case." She outlined my options. In Illinois, adultery doesn't directly affect divorce settlements, but financial misconduct does. The $4,200 per month Nathan had been sending to Brooke could be recovered as marital waste. The $67,000 we spent on IVF while he was fathering a child with another woman was grounds for additional claims. She estimated I could walk away with 65 to 70% of our marital assets if I played it right. But I didn't just want money. I wanted justice. I wanted them to feel what I felt. I built my plan over the next 6 weeks. I kept living my normal life, smiling at Nathan across the dinner table, texting Brooke about our weekend plans, pretending to be the same trusting woman I had always been. The performance was exhausting. Some nights I locked myself in the bathroom and screamed into a towel. Some nights I sat in my car and cried until my eyes swelled shut. But every morning I put on my mask and kept going. Every morning I got one day closer to the end. The opportunity came on March 22, 2024. Brooke's 34th birthday. She was throwing a party at her apartment, inviting all our friends, planning a big celebration. She asked me to help set up, to come early and arrange the decorations. She asked me to make a speech about our 15 years of friendship. She had no idea that I had already written a very different speech. I spent the week before the party making final preparations. I created a photo slideshow which Brooke expected. What she didn't expect was what I added to it. I printed the DNA test results on oversized poster paper and had them mounted on foam board. I made copies of Nathan's text messages with Brooke, the ones where they called each other baby, and planned their secret meetings. I compiled the bank transfer records showing 18 months of hidden payments. I saved everything to a USB drive and tested it 3 times to make sure it worked. I wanted no technical difficulties. I wanted the reveal to be perfect. Nathan was confused when I told him I wanted to ride to the party together. We hadn't been close in months, and he probably expected me to use any excuse to arrive separately. But I smiled and said it would be nice to walk in as a couple. He agreed, looking slightly uncomfortable. During the drive, I made small talk about work and weather. He seemed relieved that I wasn't asking difficult questions. He had no idea the questions were already answered. The party was crowded when we arrived. About 30 people packed into Brooke's 2-bedroom apartment, drinking wine and laughing and celebrating a woman they thought was their friend. I hugged Brooke when I walked in. I complimented her dress. I played with Lily, who was wearing a miniature version of her mother's outfit, a matching mother-daughter set. She really did look like Nathan. The same curls, the same dimple, the same amber eyes that I once thought were beautiful and now made me want to vomit. I waited until everyone had arrived and the energy was high. I waited until Brooke stood in the center of the room, glowing with attention and champagne. Then I asked for everyone's attention. I want to say a few words about the birthday girl, I announced. The room quieted. Brooke beamed at me. Nathan watched from the corner, his expression unreadable. I started with the normal stuff. How we met in college. How we survived finals week on coffee and hope. How she was there for my wedding, my IVF cycles, my darkest moments. The room was warm and receptive. People were nodding along, smiling at the wholesome friendship story. I saw Brooke wipe away a tear. Nathan relaxed slightly. Then I changed direction. But there's something else I need to share tonight, I said. My voice was steady. I had practiced this 100 times in the bathroom mirror. Something I discovered recently about our friendship. Something about what Brooke and Nathan have been doing behind my back for the past 3.5 years. The room went silent. Brooke's smile froze. Nathan's face drained of color. I could feel the collective confusion of 30 people trying to process what I had just said. I walked over to Brooke's laptop, which was already connected to the TV for the photo slideshow, and plugged in my USB drive. The first image appeared on the screen. The DNA test results, blown up so everyone could read every word. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Alleged father, Nathan James Aldridge. Someone gasped. Someone dropped a glass. I didn't look to see who. I kept my eyes on Brooke's face as realization dawned. As she understood that her secret was now displayed on a 60-inch screen in front of everyone she knew. This is a DNA test proving that Nathan is the biological father of Lily, I said. The same Nathan who is my husband. The same Lily whose conception was explained to me as a one-night stand with an ex-boyfriend. I clicked to the next slide. Text messages filled the screen. I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? She's getting suspicious, we need to be more careful. The room read them in stunned silence. I clicked again. Bank transfers. $4,200 every month for 18 months. I clicked again. Birthday cards from Nathan to Lily. Daddy loves you. The evidence was overwhelming. The evidence was irrefutable. The evidence was exactly as damning as I had intended. Nathan tried to speak. Ren, listen, I can explain. You can explain, I said, turning to face him. You can explain 3.5 years of lying? You can explain sleeping with my best friend while I injected myself with hormones every night? You can explain sending her money from our joint account while I worked overtime to pay for IVF? Go ahead, Nathan. Explain. Everyone's listening. He couldn't. He just stood there, mouth open, looking like a man watching his life collapse in slow motion. Brooke tried next. She stepped toward me, her hands outstretched, tears streaming down her face. Ren, please, you have to understand. Just happened. We never meant to hurt you. You never meant to hurt me? I laughed. It came out sharp and bitter. You watched me cry about not being able to have children. You held my hand at fertility appointments. You threw me a baby shower for a pregnancy that ended in miscarriage. And the whole time you were carrying my husband's baby. You were giving him the child I couldn't have. You meant to hurt me every single day for 3.5 years. The party fell apart after that. People gathered their things and fled, not wanting to be part of the fallout. Brooke's mother left without saying goodbye to her daughter. Mutual friends I had known for years looked at Nathan and Brooke like they were strangers. By the time the last person walked out, the only ones remaining were me, Nathan, Brooke, and little Lily, who had fallen asleep in her playpen, blissfully unaware that her parents' secret had just been exposed to everyone they knew. I served Nathan with divorce papers the next day. Dianshan had them ready and waiting. He tried to argue, to negotiate, to ask for another chance. I showed him the folder of evidence I had compiled and told him exactly what would happen if he contested anything. The text messages would be submitted to the court. The bank transfers would be documented as marital waste. Every birthday card to his secret daughter would be entered into public record. His reputation at work, his standing in our community, everything he had built would be destroyed. He signed the papers without further argument. The divorce was finalized in June 2024. I received 68% of our marital assets, including the condo in Lincoln Park, $227,000 in cash and investments, and full ownership of Pepper. Nathan was ordered to reimburse $75,600 for the money he had transferred to Brooke during our marriage. He had to sell his car to cover the payment. Dianshan called it one of the most favorable settlements she had secured in 15 years. I called it the bare minimum of what I was owed. But the legal victory wasn't enough. I wanted social consequences too. I wrote a letter and sent it to 23 people. Friends, family members, colleagues who had known us as a couple. The letter was factual and unemotional. It simply stated what had happened, what evidence existed, and why I was ending my marriage. I didn't ask anyone to take sides. I just gave them the information and let them decide for themselves. Within 2 weeks, Nathan had been quietly removed from 2 social organizations he belonged to. His sister stopped speaking to him. His mother called me crying, apologizing for her son's behavior, begging me to forgive him. I told her forgiveness wasn't something I had available right now. Maybe someday, but not now. Brooke faced her own consequences. Several of our mutual friends cut her off completely. Her mother refused to speak to her for 3 months. She was asked to leave a volunteer organization we had both belonged to, not officially expelled, just made to feel so unwelcome that she resigned. Her social media presence, once full of lifestyle photos and mommy content, went silent for weeks. When she finally posted again, the comments were brutal. People who had seen my evidence shared it widely. Strangers called her a homewrecker, a liar, a fake friend. She eventually deleted all her accounts and started fresh with a new identity. I heard she moved to a different neighborhood. I didn't care where. Nathan and Brooke tried to continue their relationship after everything fell apart. I know because a mutual friend kept me updated, even when I didn't ask. They moved in together in August 2024, trying to build the family they had planned in secret. But the foundation was rotten. By October they were fighting constantly. Nathan resented Brooke for the life he had lost. Brooke resented Nathan for not protecting her better. They broke up in December, just before their first Christmas as an official couple. Nathan moved to Denver for a new job. Brooke stayed in Chicago with Lily, a single mother for real this time, without a secret support system funding her lifestyle. I sold the condo in January 2025. I couldn't live there anymore. Not in the kitchen where Nathan cooked me breakfast while texting his mistress. Not in the bedroom where he told me he loved me while planning his escape. I bought a smaller place in Wicker Park. A fresh start in a neighborhood with no memories. I adopted a cat named Olive to keep Pepper company. I started seeing a therapist who specializes in betrayal trauma. A real therapist I found myself after extensive vetting. I'm learning to trust again, slowly, carefully, with appropriate boundaries in place. The healing isn't linear. Some days I feel strong, proud of how I handled everything, grateful for the new life I'm building. Other days I wake up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing, convinced I missed something, terrified that another betrayal is lurking around the corner. Trauma does that. It rewires your brain to expect the worst, even when the danger has passed. My therapist says this is normal. My therapist says it will get better. I'm choosing to believe her. I think about Lily sometimes. She's innocent in all of this, a child born into a lie she had no part in creating. I don't blame her. I hope she grows up with parents who tell her the truth, who explain the complicated circumstances of her birth with honesty and care. I hope she doesn't inherit her mother's capacity for deception, or her father's capacity for betrayal. I hope she becomes something better than both of them, but I'll never know. Lily is not my concern anymore. She never was. What I learned from this experience is simple but brutal. Trust is a gift, and some people don't deserve it. I gave my trust to Nathan for 12 years, to Brooke for 15, and they treated it like currency to spend on their own pleasure. They took my love and used it as cover for their affair. They watched me suffer and did nothing. They planned a future together while I planned a future alone. I was their alibi, their distraction, their backup plan in case things fell apart. But I was also their undoing. They underestimated me because I was soft, because I was trusting, because I was so focused on my own pain that I seemed oblivious to theirs. They thought I would never find out. They thought I would never fight back. They were wrong. If you're listening to this story and something feels familiar, if your partner is distant and your friend is too close, if explanations don't quite add up and your instincts are screaming, I want you to listen. I ignored my instincts for almost 3 years. I told myself I was being paranoid, jealous, unfair. I defended the people who were destroying me because I couldn't imagine they were capable of such cruelty. But they were. And if you're in a similar situation, the people in your life might be too. Trust yourself. Document everything. Don't confront until you're ready. Build your case. Find a lawyer. Make a plan. And when the moment comes to reveal the truth, make it count. Make it something they'll never forget. Make it something that takes back every ounce of power they stole from you. My name is Ren. I was married to a cheater for 12 years. My best friend of 15 years helped him betray me. They made a baby together while I cried in fertility clinics and blamed myself for failing. I found out on a random Tuesday when I wasn't supposed to be looking. I gathered evidence for 2 months. I exposed them at her birthday party in front of everyone they knew. I took 68% of everything and walked away with my dignity intact. They thought I was the victim. I was the reckoning.